This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi.
Against the Flow of Mississippi was written by Anthony Oksenholt and was published by Oksenholt Biloxi Publishing, LLC. A link to the book will be placed in the description below.
Yeah, this a revolution in our time. Everybody's fighting, change coming, yes. That's why it's an acronym for riot. Everybody has a voice. Don't you dare stay silent. If you say nothing, you are an accessory to violence.
They've had their say. Seems like they've had that kind of say around here for too long. Look, I had to stand up for myself alone. I went in there to remind them that somewhere in this world there's still a little law and order left. To let them know in the only kind of terms that their kind understand is that they can't bribe or threaten their way out of what they did. To let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you.
Access 228, your host, Anthony Oksenholt, where we report the facts and we are not for sale. If you have a news story or something that's on your mind, please feel free to give us a call at 228-337-2099. Be glad to have you on. Thank you for listening, and we do appreciate all that you do to support us and keep free and independent journalism doing what we do best. All right, y'all. Anthony Oksenholt, Access 228. And, well, back in the semi, people. Back in the fucking semi. But it ain't the end of the world. So, a friend of mine shared this on Facebook, and I thought it was quite interesting. It's about the No Kings protest. Well, last weekend I happened to attend the No Kings protest in Biloxi and Gulfport. When Biloxi ended, I went to Gulfport. And I'm going to tell y'all, met a lot of good people. Didn't meet a lot of local people. I met people who moved to the area from somewhere else, but that's okay. I don't agree with, y'all know how I feel. You ain't got at least 3 generations on the coast, you ain't from here. That's just how I feel. And if I'm wrong for that, so be it. I don't care. That's how I feel. That's what I think. I'm entitled to my opinion. You don't like it? Well, tough shit. But none of what I'm reading on this post applies to the No Kings. This is originally shared by a guy named Stan Price, who I have no clue who that is. Let's see who he is. Apparently this guy's in Denver. Okay, whatever. He ain't from here either. No, all right, it starts out, No Kings explained for the people who think they're fighting fascism. You're standing in a crowd on a Saturday. You look around and think, yeah, no kings. This is what democracy looks like. Bro, you're holding a sign made by a communist billionaire who lives in Shanghai. I'm going to read this whole thing and then I'm going to address this one at a time. You live in a constitutional republic. Elections, term limits, a free press that spent 4 years calling for the president a fascist without one journalist being arrested. The modern left's definition of fascism. You love the country, you're fascist. You want to enforce the border, racist. You think parents should raise their kids, bigot. You want to know who's voting in your elections? Jim Crow. Being patriotic is fascism to the modern left. But every country has borders and enforces them. 176 countries require ID to vote. I so can't wait to address that. That's the definition of a country. But the Democratic establishment told you otherwise, and you believe them. Congress has a 15% approval rating. 80% of Americans disapprove. 90% of incumbents get reelected. Chuck Schumer, 46 years, longer than Stalin. Steny Hoyer, 45 years, longer than Mao. Mitch McConnell, 42 years, 5 times more than Napoleon. Nancy Pelosi, 39 years, longer than Henry VIII. Maxine Waters, 35 years, longer than Mussolini. Bernie Sanders, 35 years, triple Hitler's entire reign. Trump, 5 years and 3 months, won the popular vote and the electoral vote, but Trump is the king. Okay, buddy. You don't hate kings, you hate things that aren't yours, and Saturday they had you in the streets carrying their water. The Democratic Party installed a president without letting you vote. Biden quit on a Sunday. By Tuesday, your new queen was crowned. Really confused on that one. No primary, no debate, no ballot. First time since 1968. 3 days before you march, every Senate Democrat voted against photo ID to vote. During COVID, you carried a vaccine card everywhere like a hall pass from the government just to eat at a restaurant. That's funny if anybody thinks I did that. But getting a birth certificate and waiting 2 hours at the DMV to prove you're a citizen before you vote, that's oppression. The Democratic Party is pro-illegal immigration. Counts non-citizens in the census. Census determines congressional seats. More non-citizens means more seats, more power. No voter ID means no way to check. That's how you keep power without wearing a crown. Biden built a censorship machine. Did he really? Pressured Facebook to suppress true information and admitted it in writing. Censored scientists, censored doctors, censored jokes. The Biden White House told Facebook to remove humor and satire. They literally went after people for making fun of them. UK does it better, though. This is interesting. Everything they censored turned out to be right. They just outsourced the silence into Silicon Valley, and it doesn't stop at speech. The extreme left justifies taking children from families. Bit confused about that one. 6,000 schools rewrite children identities without telling their parents, and the state has the right to intervene. The Hitler Youth did this. Miles Red Guards did this. Soviets built statues of a child who reported his own father. Same playbook. During COVID, your bakery got shut down, church closed, you couldn't hold your dying mother's hand at the hospital, but thousands packed together during BLM to burn Minneapolis, and that was essential civic engagement, obviously. Little confused here, but I'll keep going. $2 billion in damage, 25 dead, 2,000 cops injured, 20 states burning. VP Kamala promoted a bail fund for the rioters, no investigation, no hearings. January 6th, one building. Oh, the Capitol's just a building now. A few hours, 1,000 prosecuted, 2 years of televised hearings. Kings decide which violence counts. The left decided. Oh, here we go. Charlie Kirk spent his life walking onto campuses asking for an honest debate, and he was assassinated. Jesus H. Christ. CSIS terrorism database 2025, the first year in 30 years that the left wing attacks outnumber right wing, yet no one brings this up. 75% of liberal students say preventing a speaker from talking is justified. 27% say violence is acceptable. Liberals who went to Trump rallies, I never felt unsafe. The experience changed me. Conservatives who show up on liberal campuses get screamed at, blocked, and assassinated. One side talks, the other side screams. The Party for Socialism and Liberation marched with you Saturday. Their stated purpose, in their own words, is revolution, not reform, Marxism. 500 groups, $3 billion in revenue, pre-printed signs. The signs were ready before you were angry. Now I get to do this point by point. The sign I was holding was actually made by some guy in Ocean Springs that handed it to me, and I agreed with it, and it said, "We have a constitution for a reason, no kings." And I believe that. We do have a constitution, one I love very much. Not too crazy about the 16th Amendment. But yeah, it certainly was not made by some communist millionaire or communist billionaire in Shanghai. You live in a constitutional republic. Yes, the fuck we do. Absolutely. 100% agree with that. We 100% live in a constitutional republic. You bet your ass. And you may thank the gods for it. Election term limits, a free press that spent 4 years calling the president fascist without one journalist being arrested. You know what? Here's where I disagree with that. No, actually, I do believe there was a journalist in New York that got arrested. And by the way, real journalist, Edward Snowden, who, in my opinion, should be the fucking president of this country, he still has a warrant for his arrest. I'll leave that to y'all to decide. The modern left's definition of fascism. You love your country? Fascist. No, not true. You want to enforce the border? Racist. Depends on how you do it. It can be racist, 100%. Violating the constitutional rights of somebody you think is here illegally, that smacks of fucking racism. It's unconstitutional. It violates the first, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, the eighth, and the 14th Amendments. Probably a couple I missed. When you just walk around and demand somebody's ID, and when you're not satisfied, you lock them up, all of those get violated. Or when you shoot somebody in the face, claiming self-defense because you stepped in front of their car. Or when you shoot a legally armed man who you just moments ago disarmed, and you shoot him 10 fucking times, that's a Second Amendment violation in addition to everything else. Granted, Alex Preddy probably could have used a little bit of training, but hey, nobody's perfect. I challenge any of y'all to try to take my gun off of me. Good luck. you will pull your hand back in about 5 different fucking pieces, because I'm going to make damn sure of it. And I don't give a fuck who you are. You want to know who's voting in your elections? Jim Crow. Okay, let me address this. I am 100% in favor of voter ID laws. 100%. I believe that the circuit clerk of every county and parish, or the registrar, whoever's over it, however your state or county or parish or whatever is structured, should issue picture voter IDs. 100%. And yes, I believe that you should have to prove that you are a U.S. citizen to vote. And I believe these IDs should be issued freely. That would satisfy everybody saying, oh, well, it's racist. No, it's not. Let me give y'all a little backstory on my personal family. Many of y'all know that I have mentioned my corrupt grandfather, who was a Harrison County deputy sheriff for 35 fucking years. What I don't think I've ever mentioned is that he ran for constable back in the 70s, and he missed it by 7 votes. And let me tell y'all something, the dead voted. I put it in my book. Not that exact story, but one of the characters in my book had that story, and I mentioned the dead voted. You damn right I mentioned it. So yes, voter ID laws, 100%. I think that just shot your no kings bullshit down. The problem that I have, and a lot of people have with the voter ID law, is they think that it is akin to a poll tax. Well, I disagree with that. I think everybody should have a fucking picture ID, driver's license, state issued ID, whatever. And I think you should have to present it to vote. But I would like to go a little bit further than that and make the circuit clerk responsible for making these IDs. And you should have to present it when you sign that paper. Being patriotic is fascism to the modern left. I don't think so. But every country has borders and enforces them. 176 countries require ID to vote. That is the definition of a country. I don't think 176 countries allow people to vote. You think North Korea allows people to vote? How about Russia? How about China? How about Cuba? If they do, it's you're going to vote for this one person because we're a one-party state. So you got that one wrong. But the Democratic establishment told you otherwise and you believe them. Congress has a 15% approval rating. Is it that high? Because I'm really wondering. 80% of Americans disapprove. I could see that. 90%, 97% of incumbents get reelected. Yes, I want to address that. That is one thing that drives me absolutely batshit fucking crazy. Many of y'all know I consider Mike Azell a friend of mine. Mike, I hope you see this, buddy. I really do. Mike Azell is a good man. Personally. He was a damn good sheriff of Jackson County. He was a damn good law enforcement officer. But I could not, even though I voted in the Republican primary, I could not vote for him as our congressman. If he was running for sheriff and I lived in his county, all day, 100%, I'd vote for him. But I cannot vote for somebody who just, all he wants to do is whatever the president tells him. It's not productive to the state of Mississippi. It's not productive to the 4th Congressional District of Mississippi. And it hurts us. So, though I personally admire Mike, I like Mike as a friend, he didn't get my vote. But he got enough to be reelected. And they're right. 97% of incumbents get reelected. Let me tell y'all why that is. Because Americans are lazy, short-sighted, and don't want to do any damn research. And many of y'all, if you've gotten this far in the video, probably feel my frustration. Americans rarely look past the headlines. Rarely. I ain't gonna say never. You of us do. But we see the headline, and we take it at face value. I'm not going to go through all this. I'm just going to say that he's mentioned senators and congressmen and congresswomen that have 35 up to 46 years in office. I don't like this either, but term limits scare me for one thing and one thing only. That last term, you have no recourse against them. They're not going to get reelected. You know why Trump's doing all this bullshit? Is because he knows he can't get reelected. No matter how much his narcissist mind tries to, he knows he can't do it. You don't hate kings, you hate kings that aren't yours. And Saturday they had you in the streets carrying their water. No? Actually, I disagree. I don't hate any politician. They're not worth hating. They're not. For me to hate a politician would mean that I'm a weak-minded son of a bitch, and I'm not. The Democratic Party installed a president without letting you vote. Biden quit on a Sunday. By Tuesday, your queen was crowned. When did that happen? Please, somebody tell me. 3 days before your march, every Senate Democrat voted against photo ID to vote. I'm sure they did, but they're misguided on it. Now, this is the funny part. During COVID, you carried a vaccine card everywhere like a hall pass from the government just to eat at a restaurant. No, the fuck I did not. I ain't been vaccinated, and I never will be. You take that COVID shot and shove it up your own ass. COVID shot killed my dad, by the way. By getting a birth certificate, waiting 2 hours at DMV to prove you're a citizen before you vote, that's oppression? Not really. The Democratic Party is pro-illegal immigration. Actually, what's illegal immigration? You know, my family's been in the U.S. since before that area of the U.S. was the U.S. 90 years before. 90 fucking years. I got another one that's been in this country since 1650. I have family that I found came over on the fucking Mayflower. They didn't have a passport. They didn't have any of that shit. Biden built a censorship machine. Did he really? I think that was more Silicon Valley building it, not Biden. The extreme left justifies taking children from families. I think the Trump administration with ICE does that. 6,000 schools rewrite children's identities without telling parents, and the state has the right to intervene. Okay. I want to address this because I don't agree with all this pronoun shit. I don't agree with this I'm transgender this week bullshit. Yeah, I know. I don't agree with all that dumb shit. I never have. Never will. I think it's stupid. And I'll tell you, I think it's stupid. If you born with a dick, you a dude. If you born without a dick, you ain't a dude. Straight up. I'm not going to call somebody something that they're not. If you're a fucking man, I'm going to call you sir. If you're a fucking woman, I'm going to call you ma'am. If you don't like it, I don't care. I really do not care. I have zero concern for your feelings on that. Because I honestly, I'm going to sound like a fucking Bible thumping Republican for a minute, even though I am not. I think it's a mental illness. I believe that this is a mental illness, and I believe it needs to stop. I believe it hurts impressionable children. If I hurt your feelings on it, I really don't give a shit. And by the way, your hero Charlie Kirk, I believe he was one of them too. During COVID, your bakery got shut down, church closed, you couldn't hold your dying mother's hand at the hospital. That's because we allowed that shit to happen. We didn't stand the fuck together like we should have and said hell no. But thousands packed together during BLM to burn Minneapolis, and that was an essential civic engagement, obviously. Well, why didn't the people of Minneapolis step up and say, I don't fucking think so? January 6th, one building, a few hours, 1,000 prosecuted, 2 years televised hearings. Y'all fucking brought long rifles into the goddamn Capitol building. You think we're not going to get mad over that? I don't agree with BLM and the protests and, tearing shit up. I don't believe in that at all. But I also believe that every one of them sons of bitches that fucking went in the Capitol building ought to share the same prison cell as the rioters at BLM. I don't understand why y'all revere these assholes so much that sat there and tore up the Capitol building. That's our fucking building. That's as much my building as it is yours. That is a place, a sacred place, supposed to be. And y'all had people scared shitless. Now, do I think that Congress don't need the shit scared out of them? No. I believe they do. Do I think we need to call them home? In a democratic way at the ballot box, you damn right. Do I agree with people going in there and taking a shit in senators' offices and smearing it on the walls? You know who does that? Convicts in prison. And I might know a little something about that. That's who smears shit on the walls when they don't get their way, is fucking convicts. Maybe prison was the right place for them. Wonder how they like ramen noodles. Charlie Kirk spent his entire life walking on the campus asking for an honest debate, and he was assassinated. No, Charlie Kirk was a fucking retard. I'll say it. I could give a shit less about Charlie Kirk. I'm so tired of hearing his name. Every time I hear his name, I want to fucking scream. CSIS terrorism database 2025 is the first year that 30 years that left wing attacks outnumber right wing, yet no one brings this up. Why attack anybody? Why should one be more important than the other? They're equal. This is domestic terrorism. I don't care if you're on the left or on the right. You attack me, it's going to be a bad day for you. I stay ready. I stay wishing a motherfucker would. In my dreams, I dump gold double eagles into the wishing well by the dump truck load, wishing a motherfucker would. And I'll tell you that. I love to fight. I guess nobody's that stupid to try to attack me, though. Wish you would. I could use the entertainment and stress relief. 75% of liberal students say preventing a speaker from talking is justified. 27% say justice is acceptable. You know, cite your sources, buddy. Because I've never heard that. Although I'm sure this Gen Z bullshit, Gen Alpha bullshit, you know, when you tell them something they don't want to hear, they kind of piss and moan. I'll give you that. But it's on the right, too. Y'all piss and moan. Me personally, I kind of love freedom of speech. I love that I have the right to come on here and tell y'all what the fuck I think. I'm not even going to read that next one because I don't really care. Conservatives who show up on liberal campuses get screamed at, blocked, and assassinated. Oh, yeah, all the time. Oh, yeah, all the time. I hear of, you know, Republicans getting assassinated all the time. Yeah. Okay, is that convincing enough? One side talks, the other side screams. This whole fucking article makes me want to scream. The Party for Socialism and Liberation marched with you Saturday. Okay. Were there some socialists there? Absolutely. Did I agree with them? Fuck no. I'm a capitalist. I'm not giving, except for what, you know, the Republican-led Congress right now steals from my bank account and makes me give to these unworking motherfuckers, these jobless ass bums, in the form of taxes, and gives to their corporate welfare buddies and special interest groups out of my fucking taxes, and their military fucking industrial complex like Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin, fucking Raytheon, etc., 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 etc. Yeah, if y'all were so wanting to stop that, stop socialism, repeal the goddamn 16th Amendment, stop giving my money away to these jobless motherfuckers. Yeah, I said it. But it just goes to show that Republicans are just as socialist as Democrats. I fuck them both equally, by the way. For that, their stated purpose, in their own words, is revolution, not reform Marxism. You know what? Some of them probably felt that way, but I sure as fuck didn't. 500 groups, $3 billion in revenue, pre-printed signs. The signs were ready before you were angry. No, I've been pissed off for about 40 years, so I just hate dumb shit. Let me tell y'all something. I stood with those people at the No Kings protest for a reason. And I want every one of y'all who are working class like me and struggling like me every day, living paycheck to fucking paycheck. I want to ask every one of y'all motherfuckers who voted for Trump a question. How do you like $4 a gallon gas? You know, I took a picture today driving this semi. No, it's not mine. I wouldn't own a semi right now. But I put 131 gallons of diesel in this truck today in Evergreen, Alabama, and it cost me $700. I hope y'all can see that picture. Don't worry if you can't, because I'm going to put it in this video. I'll make sure that you see it. And somebody put a picture of Trump pointing his finger at it saying I did that, and he did. Gas has gone up at least $1 in most places in the last month. $1 a gallon. Why? Because Trump's a fucking retard. Now, I'm going to get on Iran for just a brief second and tell y'all that I agree Iran needed their ass whipped. They had an ass whipping coming. Been having one coming for about 40 years. Maybe more. Maybe closer to 50 years. I'm no fan of Iran. But they're so far off our shore that they're not really affecting us, but they're affecting us now. They closed the fucking Strait of Hormuz. They put mines down there. They've got fucking drones flying over shooting at ships. And you know what? Trump ain't doing a damn thing about it because he ain't got the balls. If I was going to run a war against Iran, the first thing I would do is declare the strait a fucking no-fly zone. Within about 200 miles of it, maybe more. You bring an aircraft in there, meet it with an F-22. To quote habitual line crosser, let the kid eat. Just the way I feel. But I'm telling y'all right now, Trump is a fucking retard. And let me tell y'all something else. Diesel fuel going up to over $5, $6, $7, $8 a gallon, and it's heading there. It's already at $5. It's already at $6 in some states. Some states have seen $7. Your paycheck ain't going up, but let me tell you what's going up. Your grocery bill's going up. Everything you buy comes in on a fucking truck. I might know a little something about this, considering I'm sitting in a fucking semi. Been in and out of a truck for 20 goddamn years. Yeah, I might know a little something about it. There's a reason that there's no way in hell I would own my own truck right now. But y'all elected this piece of shit. And since y'all elected him, y'all get to pay more at the grocery store. Y'all get to pay more for any consumable item that y'all fucking want. Y'all get to pay more for furniture in your house. Because it all comes in on the truck. And somebody's got to pay that $7 a gallon fuel. That's Trump economics right there, people. And y'all mark my words, it's going to get worse. Y'all have a good day. Anthony Oksenholt, Access 228.